Amidst a mediocre start to the season for the Raptors, Scottie Barnes has been a bright spot for the team, and today we're going to talk about what that could potentially yield. What's up everybody, it's JJ Buckets. I've told you kind of what we're doing today. I'm still keeping a little bit of a secret. I'll get into it obviously in a second, but before I fully do, just make sure, usual drill, you're leaving a like on the video. It really does help the algorithm out a ton, so as usual, thank you. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, you already know, hit the link in the description below to get my sign-up offer. The inspiration for this video comes from Sideline Sources, who recently posted North Star Bets odds to win the most improved player of the year this season, with Scottie Barnes ranking as number 2 on the list. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Scottie Barnes and his chances to win the award, obviously as somebody that's an early front runner for it, some of the competition, and in particular who the biggest competition to win the award would be for Barnes. So let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about Scottie here. So Scottie Barnes comes in at the second best odds, if I'm remembering it off the dome, but it'll be on the screen. It was plus 500 to win the award. So he's the second in line to win it right now, behind Tyrese Maxey, who I will naturally get to in a second. But I think there's good reason as to why Scottie Barnes is in this race in the first place. Again, at the time that this video is gonna drop, we're gonna be 18 games into the season, because this is being filmed before the Nets game, but will probably drop after the Nets game. As far as Barnes goes so far this season, he has come in looking damn good. I know I've said it in previous videos. I'm sure I've said it in previous videos, but like Scottie Barnes has been such a bright spot for the team. I'm pretty sure I said it in the stock up, stock down video, but yeah, like the defense looks so damn good this season. He looks much improved on that end. The shot looks better, although not perfect. It looks better, and there's more aggressiveness to his scoring. The caveat kind of being the shift that's happened in the offense recently. Again, keep in mind I'm filming this before the Nets game, so I have no idea what happens in that game, but he's looked good offensively, but the shift has kind of gone back to featuring Pascal as the number 1, and Scottie's maybe been not as featured in the offense, which I mean, like as far as I guess like his statistics and stuff like that doesn't really highlight some of the stuff that we saw early on in terms of his improvement, but like the improvement I think is notable and it is there. And all this to say, like, there's a very good reason why he's being talked about in an MIP race. I think he has a very legitimate chance of winning that MIP race should he keep going at this pace. However, very obviously, he's not the only name on here. There's the 4 other names that are on here, 4 other names if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3 other names. I'd have to check the list again, I'm so sorry. No, it's 4 other names. Yeah, it's 4 other names. Don't mind me, it's been a long day, I'm so sorry. But yeah, the 4 other names that are on here with him. Now I want to take a look at some of those names as well and talk about them and talk about why they could be threats to Scottie not winning this award. I mean, he's in second place for a reason, so let's start off with the guy that's in first place, who's Tyrese Maxey, right? Like Tyrese Maxey, oh my goodness. It pains me to think about it every time that there was a small window in NBA history where, should things have been rewritten a little bit, Tyrese Maxey could have ended up a Toronto Raptor, because looking at him now and seeing the damage that he's doing, oh my goodness, I wish I had that on my team. In particular, obviously, like with the play style, with the perimeter-oriented scoring and stuff like that, like Tyrese Maxey would be a hand-in-glove fit to a lot of things that the Raptors are missing. But I digress. Like in particular, all I want to talk about Tyrese Maxey is just him stepping up into that number 2 role. Obviously, beside Joel Embiid, with James Harden out the door, and now on the Clippers, Tyrese Maxey has looked phenomenal, right? Like he's looked like a true number 2, and yeah, as evidenced by that, he's leading the MIP race, quite frankly, as I think he deservedly should be. Look, as much as I love Scottie and I would love for him to win this award, and I still think he has a good chance to by season's end, there is good reason why Tyrese Maxey is number 1 in that race. And should he keep up more or less the production that he's putting up now throughout the entire year, this is realistically Maxey's award to lose, and it will be fairly tough to unseat him. Should Scottie Barnes want to unseat him, I think you're going to need to see a considerable improvement in the points per game, which I don't know if that's going to happen given the direction that the offense has gone in recently and kind of the, I guess, the projection of what that's looking to be, I mean, the Darko offense has been weird, right? Where it felt like they tried a bunch of things, a bunch of new things early on, and they weren't working. Now we're seeing a lot of the similar stuff that we saw last season to some extent, to varying results. Don't even get me started. This could be its whole other video, but you know, should Scottie realistically want a chance to unseat Maxey for that top spot, you're definitely going to see, or need to see, excuse me, an uptick in production. I'd say both in terms of scoring and probably a little bit in terms of passing as well. I mean, look, I think defensively, on the glass, stuff like that, like nobody's going to question how good Scottie Barnes is. And even, quite frankly, you know, as a scorer and passer, people know how good Scottie is, but I think for him to win the award, it needs to show up a little bit more on the stat sheet than it has to this point in the season. Now, there are a couple of other names on this list that I really do think could push, obviously, either of these two guys for the award as well. Cam Thomas is an interesting one because at this point in the season, like Cam Thomas's like scoring production is obviously through the roof. At the time of the recording, I believe he's averaging close to 27 points per game, which is kind of ridiculous. And I'd be lying to you if I said I had Cam Thomas pegged for that kind of production this season. Like, don't get me wrong, the guy's always been a bucket, but it kind of felt like he was kept off the floor because he wasn't really good enough at some of the other facets of basketball. And you can argue whether or not that's still true. But at the very least, given the opportunities to be the scorer that I think he knows he can't be, he's obviously capitalized on those. And naturally, we're going to need to see a bigger sample size because he has been hurt for a decent amount of time. Again, at the time of this recording. But I think Cam Thomas can legitimately push for this award as well. I think it's really like a dealer's choice in terms of the voters of what they really value. And to some extent, you can make the argument that, hey, maybe Cam Thomas has always been this good of a scorer. He just needed the extra opportunity. But like at the same time, MIP awards have been won that way before. So why couldn't he do it in that same fashion type of thing? You know what I mean? On top of that, obviously you have Şengün in there as well, and you have Haliburton. When it comes to Haliburton, at the very least, I'm inclined to believe he was a really damn good player as it was beforehand. And obviously, again, the statistical production is up a decent bit, but in terms of like most improved, yeah, I can kind of see the argument for Haliburton, but at the same time, like Haliburton was a guy that had his team in the playoffs last year before he got hurt. Like, he's always been this dude. It's just, I guess he's showcasing a little bit more so now. I don't know. I personally, if I had voting power, which I very obviously don't, but if I had voting power, Haliburton might not be the guy here because, I don't know, like the criteria for most improved is, I think, really a year-by-year and case-by-case basis. But in terms of just, when I think of most improved, I don't necessarily think of Hallie because, again, I always think he's been that dude. But you could debate me about that in the comment section if you want. And then obviously you have Şengün on the list as well. I really like what the Rockets are doing with Şengün. I think Ime Udoka has done a very good job putting the ball in Şengün's hands and letting him grow into the player that I think a lot of people thought he could be. So big kudos to Ime in that regard. Do I think he has a chance to win most improved? Yeah, I think he's firmly in the race. I mean, obviously, all of these guys are firmly in the race, and I think Şengün has as good a case as I think anybody 3 through 5, but I don't think, you know, he's pushing 1 or 2 just yet. For the most part, like I said earlier, I really do think this is Tyrese Maxey's race to lose. That being said, if Scottie Barnes should do enough by the end of the year, especially if we see a shakeup to the roster for Toronto for any reason, and Scottie Barnes either ends up in a more favorable situation based on what those trades, obviously I'm implying trades, based on what those trades are, should he end up in that more favorable situation and his production gets even more of an uptick, I think with the defense being as good as it is and some of the other stuff, like if you just get a bit of a jump from the scoring and the assist numbers, I think there's a good chance he can be right in there for the race to win most improved this year. But like, yes, just to repeat myself one more time, at this point in time, this is very clearly Tyrese Maxey's award to lose, especially if the Sixers end up finishing with like a 2 seed or something by season's end. I think it's gonna be really tough to wrestle that award away from Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, holy crap. I did that in one straight take through, so that was fun. That was a really long ramble. Hopefully you folks enjoyed that, and if I gave you stuff to disagree with, which I'm sure I did, obviously drop it in the comment section below. Other than that, folks, I think we're at the end of the video, so usual drill, make sure you're leaving a like on it. It really does help. I say it all the time. I mean it all the time. Other than that, subscribe if you're new here. And yeah, it's been JJ Buckets. It's been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.